Good evening, everybody, and welcome again to the Digital Excellence Pharma Academy. And a special welcome to you, Dr. Sanjay Mitra, for agreeing to be with us on this program. Everybody from the senior industry professionals to the product executives and the field force are very eagerly looking forward to listen to you. And before we begin the interaction, I would like you to briefly tell us about SMSRC so that we have a better understanding of your organization and what you do.
Thank you. My pleasure and honor to be with you all. Quickly, I will just take you through what SMSRC does about Strategic Marketing Solutions and Research Center. Who we are leaders in strategic consulting and RX database market research organization for the pharma industry in Indian subcontinent, primarily in India and also in Bangladesh. These are the two countries we have been operating since 2009. And individually since 1986 in India and 2005 onwards in Bangladesh. Our mission has been always caring for healthcare by helping the pharmaceutical companies to grow effectively through application of strategic prescription research. Me and my wife, Dr. Manjuri Mitra, who is a pediatrician, a KOL, and also in clinical research. She has her own organization called MedClean Research. She has been conducting various clinical trials since 2006 across different therapy areas. She is more specialized in vaccines, and right now she is also likely to look into different COVID vaccines when the pediatric trials starts. And she and we together started this initiative with a direct assistance from 5 leading organizations from Indian pharma industry who helped us in getting our seeding investment during 2009 as an advance for helping them through our research data. That's how we started our journey. The objective, the key objective of SMSRC was not to invent prescription research because it was already invented in 1977 by my dad, legendary Professor Chitto Mitra, and with the direct help from Professor Tarun Gupta, who is also known for his marketing acumen, and he was one of the leaders in GSK. And what Glaxo is today, definitely all in the industry would agree that the foundation stone of GSK's marketing was laid by none other than Professor Tarun Gupta. So both of them together founded prescription research, the concept of prescription research in 1977, and the legacy is continuing. Individually, I started my career in 1986 in CMAR when I started analyzing data. My first love was not market research, but computer science. I did learn COBOL programming, C++, and Fortran those days, and started doing data analytics of CMARC. The computerization was initiated by me in CMARC those days. Before that, it was everything manual. And I remember my father used to make presentations with flip charts or acetate sheets. And while doing these, I also started meeting the industry along with him. So it has been a long story. Part of it genetically and part of it more because of our passion towards our profession. So when a profession becomes a passion, then innovation becomes automatic. So prescription research since 1977 until 2020 has always remained innovative. The way we started, the way we continued, and the way we are doing it, concept remaining the same, methods have changed. 2012, SMSRC was one of the first organizations to brought in cloud computing. We launched SPR Cloud, our organic tool to see our data online 24/7, 24/7. And that definitely created a huge, I would say, contribution for analyzing our data or data mining. All our service users are able to see our data directly from our server, our in-house server, and that made a change. At present, when we look at COVID situation, it's not that after COVID we started looking into digitalization. In fact, last 3 years, my team has been trying to organically develop some product which will help in capturing online prescription. Finally, in 2019 December, we thought that instead of organically trying to develop this, let us collaborate with a specialist in this field. So in January, we collaborated, before COVID, we collaborated with Synergies, a leader in, their product name is MedSign, a leader in PMS. So now we are a shareholder company of Synergies as one of the largest shareholder in that organization. So it is our partner organization. And together we will digitalize, try to digitalize doctor's prescription. And our effort started since March, just before COVID, and it is still continuing. Some of the already one of the leader organization from pharma industry has accepted our tool, MedSign, for their entire segment, one specialty segment. Few other leading organizations are also showing terrific interest to take this as a platform to their doctors. So I am sure with this effort, a collaborative effort between SMSRC, Synergies, and leaders in pharma industry, a day will come when we will be able to convert that aspiration of doctors to get digitalized into action, real action. It may not happen tomorrow, but it will definitely happen over a period of time. It may take long time. I don't know. It may take a generation when we would see entire 100% of Indian doctors population is using digital platform for better patient care. But physical touch of doctors with the patient cannot go away. And definitely, I don't need to explain that digital will not be a substitute of physical consultation of doctors. It will only facilitate. And if we are able to give a simpler solution to the doctors who can immediately understand and start using it, and then bring in the higher versions or more benefits and make them more habituated with those benefits, these digital platforms will become eventually more successful. Our team, we have slightly more than 180 people, professionals in our team who are experts, and not only experts, I would say many of them have started their career with me. For last 20-25 years, they have been working with me, and many of them has joined me in 2009 to take our motto, our objective to take prescription research forward. So what we are doing is actually we are trying to remain innovative and take the prescription research forward and develop meaningful insights out of facts, data, prescription data, to help pharma companies to devise their or build unique and effective strategies. So that's the journey of SMSRC as a whole, including MedSign and Synergies today. So this is how we look like today. The care continues, and the care is not only given by SMSRC, but we have MedClean Research, who are experts in clinical trials, phase 3, phase 4. And we also have SPR Cloud as a tool, which is an organic tool, as I said just now, used by our clients. And MedSign of late on board recently since January officially. And they are offering advanced clinic management software, simplifying doctors in clinic practice and ensuring continuity in care. So we are now a group of companies who are trying to take care of science through MedClean Research, trials, clinical trials, practice through SMSRC, and digitalization through MedSign.
So you have had a very interesting journey, Doctor, as you know, for a couple of generations from your father's time, having laid the foundation for a kind of scientific understanding of pharmaceutical marketing, and that continues to this day. So can you just give us an overview of the Indian pharma, maybe how it has evolved over the period of time to the current times, in your view, how the industry has progressed from what it was maybe a couple of decades back and to where it is now, and maybe even going forward, where do you see the Indian pharma going?
I started my career officially, of course, from 1st January 1986. But even before that, during my holidays, summer vacations or winter vacations, I used to come and sit in my father's office just to see how things are happening. So I used to be a listener those days to understand what's going on in pharma industry. And to share with you all, even in 1986, when I started attending client meetings or presentations with my father, Professor Chittu Mitro, he used to start his presentation with a very basic question. And that question used to be, what is our business? What is pharmaceutical business? And believe me, most of the time I remember hearing from different pharma companies, senior marketing professions, that we are in the business of selling pharmaceutical products.
Right.
And every time he used to get that answer, he used to get paranoid, as he was known for his anger and conviction level was so high. So he used to become very emotional and immediately respond with very strong observation. Absolutely wrong. If you say we are in the business of selling pharmaceutical products or pharmaceutical brands, then you are only in selling. You are not a marketing professional, quote unquote. I used to hear that. Over a period of time, now, I mean, we are crossing some 3 or 4 decades. If we ask this question to even my students who are graduating from Pharma MBA, doing Pharma MBA, and when I start my classes or sessions, or when I am interacting with fresh product management team who has just joined the pharma industry, if I ask the same question, none, may not be even 1% of them will say that we are in the business of selling pharmaceutical products. All of them will say we are in the business of prescription generation. The theme has changed, but in 1980s or late 70s, I have been hearing from Professor Mitra that if pharma business has to prosper, pharma business definition has to be, we are in the business of prescription generation, because that's the primary demand creation factor. As long as we remain in generating prescription for my products, the product will become a brand, and the brand will follow Newton's first law. Even if there is COVID, even if there is lockdown, even if there is supply problems, still the demand will keep increasing, and everything else, the logistic behind this pharma sales generation will be taken care of. So if I say in a nutshell, the basic change that I have observed myself in my generation is this: the mindset of pharma business has changed from selling drugs to RX generation as the fulcrum. And definitely prescription research is one of the key factors for creating this, changing that marketing myopia into the reality of what is the pharma business. The brands are built because of doctor's prescription and not because of anything else. So many reasons are proclaimed or claimed by many pharma companies or many leaders that we have done this, we have done that to make our brand successful. But ultimately, the basic, the primary factor is RX and the continuation of that RX. So as long as one is able to do that, I think we remain in business. And without prescription research, I think that's impossible. Without understanding the behavioral trends of the prescription, I say prescription research is nothing but MRI scan of doctors' prescribing habits. When we look at sales data, I personally also regularly analyze sales data captured from, shared by our service users. Sales data is one-dimensional because it doesn't give us answers as where, what, how, when, and all that. It doesn't talk about the perception behind the brand, as we call it, provisional diagnosis and perceived condition. It doesn't tell us which segment is giving more sales, which doctor segment is giving more sales, which doctor segment is less productive, and all that. It gives us overall results, the end. But the means to that end comes from prescription analysis. It helps us in building the brand character. Unless and until a brand develops a unique character, it doesn't become a brand. Any brand we can think of in the generic market of Indian pharmaceutical industry, each brand has a unique character. Whether it is an antibiotic, if I compare between Augmentin, Clavum, Moxicam CV, Moxclav, each one of them are same by composition but different by character. If I talk about chronic care also, if I take Stamlo, if I take Telma, any brand, Attain, Losar, any brand, They are similar in composition but different in character. So within the same generic, we find each brand has created its own unique identity. And this particular point in particular is unique in our country, which is a non-patented market compared to a patented market in other developed countries. Therefore, I personally feel that marketing pharmaceutical products in India is one of the most difficult tasks, because here technically, medically, everything is same in a given molecule. Even quality has to be same because we have drug controlling authorities and other authorities to control that. But we still have a leader brand, we still have a monopoly in certain generic formulations. If we just now I said Stamlo, Telma, Aten, they were a monopoly actually in their respective therapy areas. So how that has happened? It has happened because of Doctor's RX. And that's the change that is going to be there. And this will continue to develop further. And the sharpness of marketing will definitely increase. There was a time, I'm taking a bit more, there was a time when we used to go to our clients and explain the usefulness of prescription research. I don't think that era exists anymore. Now everybody appreciates the reason why they need to understand prescription research. Today there is a specific curriculum of prescription research market analytics based strategy formulation for Nursing Munji, where I take every year 60 hours or 30 hours in 2 different semesters. Boys are learning how effectively data analytics can help one to derive meaningful, actionable strategy and differentiated strategy.
So great, that was a good insight to know that we have moved from saying we are selling drugs to we are in the business of generating prescriptions, and this has been borne out by your studies as well, which shows that though the practice of doctors had declined by 80%, the pharma business had not declined in the same proportion. In fact, when we look at various market research figures, the prescription or the revenues of the leading brands had almost remained the same or even grown. So your insight on the need for Indian pharma to build brands, Dr. Sanjay, what are some of the key things that they need to focus on?
This is most exciting question you have raised on. Thank you. See, what I have learned and what I believe very strongly in pharma marketing or any marketing, physics and chemistry both plays a significant role. The concept of physics and chemistry, mind me. In pharma marketing, Newton's first law and Newton's third law, it's directly visible. When a brand becomes a brand with a character, unless and until the brand manager or the marketeer of that brand himself or herself resists or puts a block, the brand follows Newton's first law, inertia. It continues its journey. No external force, I repeat and underline this, whether it is competition, low price competition or anything, even better molecule, cannot dislodge that, until and unless there is a sudden, new research data or sudden ban or sudden new concept which says that this molecule is no longer very right for one to prescribe. It has happened in many cases, like atenolol has suffered because of that. But even after that, there are patient groups who continues to take atenolol. There are patient groups who continues to take that same brand. So when it's a brand and when it's a product, how do we understand? When it becomes a brand, it becomes an auto mode prescription by the doctors. You don't need to actually go to the doctor to make him recollect. The doctor himself recollects that. If I give an analogy, which I always share, Siddhi Vinayak or Vatican City or Tirupati, they don't come to us. We go to them because they are the strongest brand of religion in this world.
Right.
So when you become a brand, customers will come to you even if you don't go to the customer. I give a quick example from pharma industry. All of us are aware that Mankind reach is one of the highest. Mankind as a company, they have a strong product, selling product called Moxicant CV. And GSK has a strong brand called Augmentin in the same therapy area. Technically, both are same. As far as my knowledge goes, until few years back, if GSK was marketing Augmentin, it was less than 1/3 of the field force of Mankind in actual numbers.
Yeah.
But number of sales or sales volume or number of prescription wise, Mankind was slightly above of GSK, but sales wise, Augmentin was always well ahead of Moxican CV. So what sales doesn't actually prove the character of that brand or whether it has become a brand. And what becomes a brand, sales happens automatically. So this is just one example which is very close to my heart and head. That's why I'm sharing. There are hundreds of such examples. You look at Clavam before 2011 and look at Clavam today. The whole product of Clavam has become a brand during this period because of very specific strategic action of Alchem. Take Telmisartan and Telma of Glenmark before 2012 and after 2012. And we know globally also, medically also, that Telmisartan is not the best of antihypertensive therapy medically. But in our country, the super specialist who treats hypertension or diabetes hypertension, they will swear by Telma.
Right.
So it's a very exciting question you raised. We have thousands of examples, live examples, to explain this particular phenomenon. But definitely, pharma industry in India is thriving because of brands. And during COVID period, I can confirm this with internal facts collected, gathered from more than 30 companies, mandate brands, which as a concept we have been asking or requesting our service users to follow. In every single case, whichever brands were mandate brands for the company, they had more than 80 to 90% of sales during the peak COVID period of first 3 months. And now, in many companies, it is close to 95% to 100% mandate brands, which are consistently promoted brands and which are the pillar brands for the company. Whereas tail brands, even if they are promoted or even if they are operating in a large market, opportunity markets, they have not done well, not done well. So COVID or no COVID, or lockdown or no lockdown, or any similar situation in future, if pharma industry or any industry for that matter has to survive or get continuous business, then it has to depend on their brands, and that's the business we are in, creating brands, maintaining brands and sustaining brands.
Great, that's a wonderful insight. So I think COVID has taught one more lesson to Indian pharma, that brand building is very essential. And your study also showed some very interesting insights as to, in the initial stages, it was the north and the east that was, or north and the west that was badly affected, whereas east and south were relatively not so much affected. You also brought in some very good insights from your study, was that most doctors, irrespective of whether they were specialists or super specialists or GPs, still preferred seeing reps physically. That should be one more reason for pharma to feel encouraged, because now I think one of the big challenge for pharma is that their field force is either fully sitting at home or not fully engaged. So what is your message to the pharma companies, doctor, as to what are the strategies going forward as given from your survey insights about the field force? What should be the the strategies for them with regarding to field force going forwards, or even now?
See, I have given an analogy here again. Every mother to the son is a big brand.
Big brand.
If I ask this question, do you love mother? One would say yes or no. Yes, of course. I would say no, you don't love mother. You love my mother, your mother.
Yes.
So the moment you put that my mother, it becomes a brand. So my mother is a brand to me, and that's why I love. And because it's a brand, that's why I love, right? So How it has happened? It has happened because of physical touch, physical connect, not because of anything else.
Right.
Imagine a real mother and a surrogate mother. Now consider that the surrogate mother is taking care of the baby or the child throughout his life, and the real mother is not, because of some reason or the other, is not in touch with the child. The child has become adult. Then he comes to know that the real mother is there. Do you think, of course there will be an emotional setback, but do you think the love for the surrogate mother will come down? I don't think so.
Right.
There are so many movie stories we have seen. The surrogate mother continues to be the real mother. Why? Because of the physical connect. Physical connect is essential between the product and the user, in this particular case, doctor, right? Unfortunately, pharma companies' brands, medical brands cannot be put into public advertisement or doctor's advertisement at large. And even if it is put, you don't know which doctor segment and which particular doctor whom you are targeting will be able to see. Of course, PMS software will be a good facilitator in this process, because it will be able to segment the doctors and help the industry or the particular company to promote their products, or at least expose some essential inputs and share some technical inputs with the doctor. That will be one of the benefits. Once it happens, we will see. But as of now, which is the vehicle for doing this physical connect? Medical representatives.
Right.
So medical representative is the bridge between the brand, aspiring brand, and the aspiring users. Now, if I take out that bridge, there will be no connect. So nobody will love my mother. There will be no mother actually, but the child will be there and the mother will be also there. So this is impractical to think that a medical representative will lose their job and all. When I shared with at least 74 industry leaders, one-on-one, this particular set of data, many of them said, thank you for confirming. At least the medical representative should feel happy that they will not be jobless because of COVID.
Right.
And it cannot happen. Just simply cannot happen. There were a lot of ghost stories created by many experts from different fields. Right. It was ghost because it was not existing. That all will have to change in their thought process, thinking and mindset, that how to connect with the doctors. And also, let us look at another aspect. Look at it from a busy doctor's schedule and how he is practicing. How many of us really feel that he will take time off from his busy practice, open the laptop or any digital media to see what the pharma companies are offering him one by one and what is the learning from those offerings? It's a spoon-feeding system that has been there throughout the history of Indian pharmaceutical industry. Medical representative comes to the doctor selectively and picks up a couple of brands and promotes the benefit of those brands to the doctor consistently. And doctor keeps on hearing that and keeps on learning out of that. So therefore, more on a lighter side, I say, this is an industry where it's just an analogy, right? I should not be taken literally, where the illiterates, so-called illiterates, teach the literates, the most literates, and the literates follow the illiterates. Right? The medical representative, non-medical person, going and sharing information with the most learned people, doctors, medical doctors, and they follow what the medical representative they request them to follow. Why? Because of the physical touch, because of the continuity of that physical touch, because there is a terrific trust that gets developed with the medical representative for that company. If Sun Pharma has become Sun Pharma, it is not just because of Sun Pharma strategy, but because of the soldiers who have been implementing their strategy bullseye.
Right.
So that is the fundamental truth of the backbone of Indian pharmaceutical industry. Now, it cannot be removed. It cannot be removed.
Great. Coming from a person of your nature, that is a word of great encouragement for the field force people. That's wonderful to hear that from you. Also made your studies also made.
Sorry to interrupt. I'll just take one more moment. In our data, survey 2 data, we published that 54% doctors were doing some kind of a physical practice. Or they are saying that, yes, sorry, not physical practice, they said that we will be interested in interacting with the medical representative physically. When I checked at least with two companies, one of them were top 5, another very progressive company in India, their internal call average was 58% or 55%. And I further repeat, one company confirmed that during the month of July, they grew by 8% over and above last year July sales. I repeat, primary data of that company says that they have grown 8% over and above last year July sales. There is at least one company in India who has increased their sales, top line sales, and it's not a very small company, right? With just 58% coverage. Now this 58% is a physical coverage. Quality of coverage will further deteriorate. Now you tell me, last year they had 100% coverage, or say 95% coverage at least, and they had 100 rupee sale. Today they are having 58% coverage and they are having 108 rupee sale. So do we need to really look at that Pareto's law again, 20% gives 80%, or what focus means and all that? What is reach and what is depth? And what amount of resources we waste every day?
Right.
We look into these findings. And what I shared just now, it's a confirmed fact. I wish I could name the company. I cannot, because it was directly connected, captured from the entrepreneur of that company. So I cannot disclose the name of the company, but what I shared is 100% true facts.
Great. It's fine with us. That will keep our audience guessing as to who's that one company which you have named. But when I started my career as a medical rep in the 80s, there were some very big names like Burroughs Wellcome, May and Baker, Ron Pauling, Boots, and they have all, over the time they have disappeared. So I want to know from you, Doctor, how do you look at some of the Indian pharma companies? Which are your favorites? Which have grown very well? Which could have done well? There was a great company, as you also mentioned, Popran, which used to have all these 4-letter brands which were terrific for recall and made the job of the medical rep very, very easier, but they are gone. So just want to know from you for the interest purpose as to how do you look at Indian pharma companies? How do you look at the MNCs? Which are the ones which have done well and really done scientific work and brand building?
To start with, I would say any company in pharma industry which we are learning about can definitely grow. There is no company which can be just said that written off, it cannot grow anymore. Impossible. Right now, we just got engaged to revive a company which has not been doing well for quite some time. We have just got engaged into reviving that company. So we are looking into the go-to-market strategy, and we will be next couple of months' time, we will be finalizing their restructured go-to-market strategy, which we are specialized in and which I have been personally doing since 1995 for more than 80 plus companies in India. And also the merger acquisitions, as you have just said. In India so far, if there are 100 mergers and acquisitions taken place, we as an individual and collectively, more than 90% of each such merger we were involved in, and most of them we developed the go-to-market strategy post-merger. Like for example, Abbott Piramal merger, all the go-to-market strategy multiple times we have done it. Say for example, Sun and Ranbaxy merger, we have done it post Ranbaxy was acquired by Sun. We did the restructuring of entire unit. Similarly, Torrent Unichem, the latest one. And very recently, as we have heard about Dr. Reddy's and Oakert. So all these cases, we were instrumental in understanding each company's unique strength and the complementing strengths between the two companies and how they can be played together for a better resultant. Again, with law of physics comes here. The resultant force should be faster or more than individual equal forces. And it has happened in most such cases, be it Sun Ranbaxy, be it Abbott Piramal, be it Unichem, Torrent, and eventually Oakert and Dr. Reddy's, we'll also see that. And also earlier, even smaller acquisitions like Corona Remedies acquired some small, neglected, dead brands from Abbott in chronic care. Look at those brands now, how beautiful they are, and they are growing. They were neglected in Abbott because it was not an interest area. But Corona Remedies, which is one of the fastest moving company in India, they wanted to grow in chronic care. They acquired. They came to us to ask us that whether they should acquire such big brands or not. We said yes, take it, and then we restructured. We created specific teams, and results are already there. So coming back to your original question, it depends on the leadership of every company. I don't want to get into individuals, but any company which has not been able to sustain or opted for merger or anything similar is primarily it's because of the leadership mindset. As long as, again, I'll touch a very emotional chord here, and due to our profession, I know we have been interacting with various corporates on a regular basis. As an individual, I have been very lucky to interact very closely with stalwarts of this pharma industry on a regular basis. I have seen so many leaders. I will still meeting them regularly. The real understanding of your question or answer to your question is in understanding the entrepreneur's mindset, whether it is primarily business or primarily institutionalization. When you try to institutionalize, your mindset will be completely different. When you try to consider only the business, some are more profit driven, bottom line driven. I have already touched upon a couple of companies' names who are extremely profitable once upon a day, but they are not existing now. Some are very top line driven, and they look at these two aspects more importantly than anything else. While I'm saying that, I am not saying those who have institutionalized their business, they don't consider these two as important parameters for success. Every business, including our business, we have to look at both. But that as an eventuality of what we do, what we strategize, that doesn't become the leading stimuli for me to decide on my business, right? So this is the real reason why some companies will get merged, why some companies will continue independently. I mean, Indian and multinationals both, and particularly true for Indian companies. There will be Indian companies, there are Indian companies which will continue their journey independently very successfully. How many of us who are listening to this program today could believe that Torrent would feature as one of the fastest moving company in today's time 4 years back? But it has happened, no?
Right.
And a company who has dropped covering GPs. I mean Torrent 1, Torrent, not Unichem. But it has happened. One needs to have that level of conviction. I am not saying have conviction to drop GPs. I mean to say have conviction to drive a strategy which is logical and meaningful based on facts. During the lull period of Torrent, Sun became new Torrent. Today, Torrent is becoming new Sun, not at the cost of Sun. Sun continues their journey, but Torrent has emerged as a new Sun. Is it not good for the industry? It's good for the entire healthcare industry. Which is the other industry other than pharma industry in India where we will find 3 number ones, 3 number twos, 3 number threes? What was this? In 70s, we used to hear that multinationals dominate 80% and Indians have only 20%. Today, Abbott is also a multinational, but within the top 5. So it's not multinational or national. It's who believes in strategic marketing and brand building. Whether it's a regional player, I can name regional companies like Forts India, semi-region, they are no longer regional. Pharma, many, Curosio, a boutique specialty company, they have done wonderfully well despite all the competition and all that. Despite, when he says in India, pharma business is engagement. In softer terms, if I use, engaging doctors to prescribe your brands. There are companies who cannot compete with leading companies in these fields, in these activities, but still doing fantastic business. Forts India is an example. Curosio is an example. They have done it. So it all depends on the strategy. It all depends how consistent and focused you are in the long run, not in the short run. Selling vitamins and vitamin C's during COVID and getting good business out of this is not a long-term strategy.
Right.
It's a short-term business gain.
Right.
There are big companies, small companies who have done that. Selling sanitizer through pharma field force. Field force are not actually selling it. It's the vendors who are actually selling it. Right. And pharma companies thinking that yes, during this COVID period, we have done good business. How this will boomerang them post-COVID, we will see.
Right.
Many of our users, service users or clients have done that. I have shared similar thoughts with them as well.
Right. So great insights that leadership is what matters. The mindset of the leadership matters in building a company. So when we see great companies, as Peter Drucker always said, that there would have been a monomaniac leader behind it, driving his vision and driving his passion. Doctor, you also raised some, you also gave some very good insights from your surveys about the doctors' adoption of digital. Whereas the aspiration is very high, but the adoption is not commensurate with that. And you said that it's because of habits, and habits can take a long time to change. It can take sometimes something like COVID can force you to adopt some digitals very quickly, but you said it can take even a generation. So what's important is that your data is so well, what should I say, nuanced, that you brought forth that the lady doctors showed more preference for digital versus the the male doctors. This is something really a wonderful insight. So that should tell pharma that they are segmenting for digital has to be something very different, because all of us know that the younger doctors are more digital savvy. Therefore, they that is again borne by your survey results. So there is nothing new that was not known. But this about the women doctors, maybe we need to look at them very differently when digital is adopted. Also, good lesson for the digital marketers is that you said the tools that doctors find easy to use, like a WhatsApp, like a Facebook, these are easy to adapt as a first stage of adoption of digital. Could you show some more light, Doctor, as to what is happening in pharma in digital and going forward? Because I'm sure the students that you are teaching in NMIMS, I think they are the most fortunate because they are getting the best of what has happened earlier, and as well as they are the ones who are born as digital natives, we call it. So the marketing fundamentals and the new technology together, I think they will be ones who will drive a lot of change. Your thoughts on digital in pharma in India, Dr. Sanjay?
Yeah. I don't think I need to explain this, because Pavlov has conceptualized this thought many years back, decades back. It's that bell and the dog's habit, right? Then you don't give food, but ring the bell and the dog saliva will start secreting. So it's that. So when a habit needs to change, we need to get connected with this. If we are interested in getting connected in that habit change, we have to do it slowly. Overnight habits cannot change. If I again give you an analogy, those who smoke, each one of them, they know that smoking is bad and it is deadly, but they smoke. There are smokers who have left smoking and maintained that. There are smokers who left smoking and again came back to it. And there are people who have never smoked. Now, the knowledge level of awareness level, whatever you say, is similar to everybody, right? At least in the educated population, I would say. Even in a non-educated population nowadays, with the public media and all, everybody is fully aware. But how many of them are actually taking that awareness into action by quitting smoking? But there are a lot of people who are quitting smoking. Again, if you take two generations, our generations when we were young, we had maximum number of young generation smokers.
Right.
In today's generation, we have relatively much less. Why? It took generations to understand that and convert that into action. So that is one of the reasons I said Understanding is not enough. We understand so many things, but we practice very few things. So in this case also, how the understanding can be converted into action, one needs to have a clear, simple message for that. When a doctor, I give an example from a brand, when a doctor starts writing a new formulation, a new product, which has yet to become a brand, why it start writing that? My understanding, looking at prescription for decades, I think the first thing that triggers in his mind is the importance and significance of that brand or that product that brings him to the doctor for taking care of his patient. Patient is his most important factor. Right. He doesn't prescribe because of the engagement factors initially for writing a new product. He writes because he feels that this product has got some unique benefit, not a truckload of benefits, but one benefit which he feels important and significant for his patient. Out of 10 doctors, one doctor may feel that benefit is more important, so he starts just practicing it as a more trial method, once or twice. And he finds what the claim was and what he is doing that is matching to some extent. Then he starts developing a liking towards that and writes few more times. Like that, unknowingly he starts having a preference towards that product, and the product starts becoming a brand at that point of time in that one doctor. Slowly that one doctor syndrome gets percolated down to all the homogeneous group of doctors, that segment of doctors from 1 doctor to 100 doctor to 1000 doctor on its own over a period of time. That's why often we say that you catch the KOL, if the KOL writes, the other followers will write. Similarly, in case of digitalization also, same thing will happen. Whatever number of benefits we try to bring in, every company in digital space, including our partner Synergies, have been working overnight. And we have a core team who are dedicated to cater to this need. And with the help of leading companies, one of them is Pharma, who is promoting our products for one of their specialist segment exclusively. When what we find, doctors are all aware, doctors are all engaged to listen to the demonstration and all, but the moment it's a question of him or her really using it, he's getting stuck. Why? Because he is not savvy with these tools. But WhatsApp he is. Now when WhatsApp came into practice, it didn't try to substitute anybody. It just simply said, you want to message somebody, use it. You want to message the same message with multiple people, you just copy, cut, paste. WhatsApp has many features. In fact, for me, I have been using mobile phone since 1996 and WhatsApp since it started. I confess, I didn't know there was a tool called broadcast in WhatsApp. So while sharing this COVID survey data with all my clients, initially I was selecting one by one and sending it to each one of them. And it was a very tedious task, middle of the night I used to do, and I used to every time forget or miss out one or two a very important friend. And later on they said, Sanjay, you didn't share that with me, somebody else forwarded that. So then I searched, I took pain to really understand what is broadcast, and now I know that. So once you are habituated with the basics, then the further developments that the product or the tool can offer, you will learn on its own. We all use Excel. Excel has hundreds of features. How many features we use? But there are people who are using need base. So we have to start the starting point. Use COVID as a trigger. Right. This is giving us the platform, but don't dump all the benefits. Right. Don't say this is unique, this has hundreds of features. Keep it simple. Take the most relevant benefit to the aspiring set of doctors and let them start. Don't expect to capture the whole doctors population through digitalization overnight. And with new jargons like digital, then new normal and all that. It will only remain in the jargon books and become a history.
Right. So it has been a great, wonderful interaction, Doctor. You have given your wonderful time to us. Really appreciate that. And maybe once your survey results are published, we will come back to you again, because we know that it's going to be a lodestar of information for the Indian pharma professionals. So they can navigate in this difficult times, and also your message for marketers to focus on building brands, and for field force the word of encouragement that their relevance remains, and for digital marketers that they should start with the easiest one to that enable the doctor to adapt it. Also, there's a good nuances in the digital preferences of the doctors, that like the female doctors preferring more of digital. So wonderful insights, doctor. Thank you very much for spending this time, and I look forward to our next interaction again. Thank you and have a great day, Dr.
Thanks
Sanjay
a
Mitra.
lot. Pleasure. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Doctor.